Hey everybody, we are here on this glorious day to do an unboxing video for the Warlord pledge box for the Brimstone Adventures Kickstarter project.
It's pretty exciting. It's finally here. It's finally happening.
Yes, we just got this from China. It's the first one off the assembly line and we haven't even seen it ourselves. So, this should be good. Alright, this is it. It is a behemoth.
Yeah, it's over 30 pounds of
Over
Brimstone goodness.
Of Brimstone goodness. And it is heavy, let me tell you. You got it? Go ahead.
Sure. All right. Slice this guy open.
You need to step back from Jason whenever he's got a knife. You never know what's going to happen. You might cut open boxes. That knife is so sharp, you.
Yeah.
Cut right over. All right, let's see. Look at this. All right. We'll move it up slightly. Okay, so we have our protective cardboard sheet here. Slide that to the side now. Let's give a little tour of what's inside, shall we?
You can see here, this is in the full double thick wall carton.
Yes, look at this. Double thick carton box walls. We've also reinforced the corners with some hardboard corner protectors.
Yeah, corner edges.
And then every free spot is actually filled with these little plastic air.
Yeah, some packing material.
And
this guy's a little cardboard piece of packing material.
This is just a spacer. It's an empty box. Don't feel like, what's supposed to be in this box? It's just a spacer.
All right, let's get these guys out of here.
All right, so we've got the two adventure sets, one on each side. Valley of the Serpent Kings, Gates of Valhalla. In between, BAKS1, BAKS2, and the BAKS2 miniatures. This stands for Brimstone Adventures Kickstarter, Box 1. This is Box 2, and this is Box 2, the miniatures for it. This is the printed material. We've got the Thunderforged Titan, Tridaran Strike Team. Down here we've got the social media stretch goals, which are the Feathered Serpents and the Soteris Ravagers. And here we've got the Cursed Eternal, and below that is the Valkyrie.
All right, why don't we slide this off to the side?
Yeah, we'll slide to the side and look at each individual piece. Let's see this. This thing is huge.
It is a monster.
So,
All right. So why don't we start with the adventure sets?
Let's do it.
So we have here first the Gates of Valhalla adventure set, which is of course the main adventure set for the Vikings in the Norse lands that has the Otherworld, Targa Plateau, the library. So this has everything you need to start your adventures with Vikings, all the heroes and the enemies and all the cards you need for that. And it's got its 8-part narrative campaign for the Gates of Valhalla. And you can see here on the back of the box, it's got some text describing stuff, shows some of the cards and map tiles and painted miniatures. Has a nice contents list on there.
But the box, this is actually a different aspect ratio than our previous core sets.
Yeah, so it's actually a little bit thicker, and it's not quite as long as the regular core sets. All right, so that is the Gates of Valhalla. And then, of course, the other main adventure set is the Valley of the Serpent Kings. So this is all the stuff with the Spanish explorer conquistador side of things. Of course, going head-to-head with the vile serpent men of Jargono. So this has everything you need to start your adventures in the Spanish fort and the Valley of the Serpent Kings. And you can see here it's got some cool artwork on the back, has the text description, shows a bunch of cards, counters, and map tiles, painted miniatures. And of course, again, the contents list for Valley of the Serpent Kings. So each of these adventure sets has its 8-part narrative campaign in there. And then it also has some additional material that helps you keep going with your campaign once you finish the narrative.
All right. Why don't we look at the
Kickstarter exclusive heroes.
Heroes here.
All right. So, of course, we had 2 Kickstarter exclusive heroes for
this project
here. We had the Valkyrie hero pack, and we have the Cursed Eternal hero pack. So, of course, the Valkyrie is themed for the Gates of Valhalla, kind of Norse Viking theme, and the Cursed Eternal is themed for the conquistadors and kind of
Valley of the
Serpent King side of things. And you can see these are basically in what would be retail packaging. These are Kickstarter exclusive heroes, of course, but they've got cool hero portrait on the front, and the back shows the painted miniatures and a bunch of the cards and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty cool to actually see these guys in the packaging.
All right, next up, these are social media stretch goals, the Soteris Ravagers and the Feathered Serpents.
Yeah.
And these are in retail packaging.
They are. So, Feathered Serpents, of course, again with that kind of kind of jungle theme with the Spanish explorers, and the Soteris Ravagers are a little bit more of this sort of alien theme that can travel between different worlds and attack. And these have full retail packaging, so you can see the painted figures on the back and a sample of the different cards and enemy record sheets and whatnot. But these were the stretch goals for the social media stretch goals that we unlocked during the campaign.
There's also this guy. He's kind of the big bad for the entire project.
Yeah, specifically for the Gates of Valhalla theme, the Thunderforged Titan. So yeah, this guy is pretty massive. He's a fantastic kind of end boss for your campaign, or even to fight one of these guys along the way. This isn't a unique Thunderforged Titan. There are actually many Thunderforged Titans that emerge from the underworld to try and bring about Ragnarok. So you can go on your adventures trying to take down the Thunderforged Titans as they emerge from the gates of the underworld. But you can see again, this guy's in full retail packaging, and we've got a full-size, fully painted version of the figure on the back there. Shows some of the different cards, including, you can see on the back, the Titanic Devastation cards. That's a new mechanic for this guy where he basically unleashes these big super attacks every turn. And when you hit him, if you do too much damage all at once, he can unload one of those Titanic Devastation cards on you as well. So pretty scary, but a really fun enemy to fight. And massive, simply massive.
The BAKS-1.
All right, BAKS-1. So this was basically all of the stretch goals that were part of the Explorer Pledge as well as the Warlord Pledge. And you can see here it's got artwork on the box, and it shows there's a list on the front of the box of what the stuff is that comes in it. So it has here the Gates of Valhalla alt-gender heroes, the Valley of the Serpent King's alt-gender heroes, and then it's got the Crimson Hand Dark Acolytes enemies and the Trun Gladiators enemies. And then it has 4 of the card pack supplements, the Norselands Artifact Pack 1, Odin's Wrath Norselands Encounters, Spanish Fort Artifacts Pack 1, and Dark Ambitions Spanish Fort Encounters.
Let's crack this open, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so what is in the BAKS-1 box?
Feels like Christmas. All right. Well, it looks like there's a sticker as well.
Double security. All right.
So, in the box, I don't know if you can see here, we've got all the minis here, and then we have a little divider to separate out the printed material so that the minis don't poke through. It's just extra protection. So, these are the Trun Gladiators. A nice set of 3 Trun Gladiators there.
Yeah, so this is a large size enemy that are themed for the Targa Plateau side of the Gates of Valhalla. Of course, they can show up anywhere.
This is a set of Crimson Hand Dark Acolytes. There's 6 Dark Acolytes there. And then we've got the Conquistador alt-genders and the alt-genders for the Vikings.
Yeah, so it's cool to have those extra hero minis so you can play either male or female of any of the different characters. And then also you could even have additional people play, 2 people playing as the raider, or 2 people playing as the duelist, or whatnot. So the miniatures are in this box, but also it has in that BAKS-1 box some of the printed material. So it's got a card brick here. You can see it's the card brick for the Explorer Pledge card brick, it says. And this has those 4 card supplements, as well as the cards for the different enemies, the Trun Gladiators and the Crimson Hand Dark Acolytes. In addition to that card brick, I think Scott's cracking that open right now, but you can see here we have the rule sheet for the Trun Gladiators and the Dark Acolytes. We also have the enemy record sheet for each of those guys. each of those enemy types. And the Dark Acolytes actually have a mission on the backside of the rule sheet called Reliquary, and that is a pretty cool mission where you're hunting down these relics. And so it's got a counter sheet that has these little summoning tokens for them performing their kind of magical rituals, but it also has die-cut counters for the different relics that you can try to find or they can try to steal from you. So it's pretty cool to be able to go on the hunt for these relics and actually have a big kind of chunky piece that represents it.
So here we've got the cards. This is the card brick here. We've got, let's see, the Norseland's artifacts. There we go. All right. Can you move these just to the side here? All right. Odin's Wrath. Okay. These are card supplements. Here's the Spanish Fort artifacts. Let's see.
So in this card brick, each of the different card supplements has a cover card, so you can tell which one is which as you're going through them.
Dark Ambitions. New encounters here. All right. And then these are the cards for the Tren Gladiators, up to here. And then these are the cards for the Crimson Hand Dark Acolytes, including their Arcane Magic deck.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because they basically can be throwing spells at you as they're going around using the different artifacts and relics that they've picked up in their hunt for power. And then in here in this BAKS 1 box, we also have a little packet of promo cards for Gates of Valhalla and Valley of the Serpent Kings. There's 4 of these promo cards, and you can see here there's 2 that are themed for the Gates of Valhalla, 2 that are themed for the Valley of the Serpent Kings. So we have the Golden Plume, which is kind of a feather upgrade you can put into your helmet. We've got the Fountain Water, which is cracked. It's kind of similar to the fountain water that the Cursed Eternal has, but it's a one-use thing that anybody could use if you get the artifact. We also have a Forge Hammer, where it gives you a free attack, but you can also use it to get bonuses in upgrading items in camp. And then lastly, we've got an extra powerful Epic Threat card that has D3 Targa Librarians and a Peril Die of Centurions. So this is an extra nasty epic threat you can throw in if your heroes feel like they're getting a little too big for their britches. You can toss that into your epic threat deck and give yourself an extra challenge.
And just as an overview here, these 2 card supplements are themed for Norselands. This is basically Norseland's artifacts. Odin's Wrath is Norseland's encounters. And then these 2 are Spanish Fort themed. This is Spanish Fort artifacts. And this is Dark Ambitions, which is Spanish Fort encounters.
Yeah.
So you can see how all these kind of make sense. And these come with the different enemy sets. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put these away.
And that is the BAKS 1 box.
So just set these guys off to the side here. A BAKS 1 box.
All right.
All right. Next up is BAKS 2.
Why don't we look at the Tredaran Strike Team?
Oh, you want it? Tredaran Strike
Let's do it. Tredaran Strike
All
Team.
right.
So this is a KS exclusive, a Kickstarter exclusive hero expansion or anti-hero expansion, as it were, for playing as the Tredaran Strike Team. So this was a Kickstarter exclusive for the Warlord pledge or higher, and the Tredaran Strike Team is a full boxed product here that is exclusive for Kickstarter, and it has cool art on the back, describes what comes in it, lets you play as the team heroes for Tredarans. So you can set out on nefarious missions to try to set up doomsday devices and toxic gas generators, or get a foothold in other worlds. And this has not only the 4 heroes that you can play, it also has a full Tredaran camp inside, so that you can go and build your camp during the course of your campaign between missions. And then it also has an 8-part narrative story campaign for the Tredaran heroes. So setting out to try to take over another world that you're venturing into, and fighting some kind of rival enemies, nemesis that show up along the way that are giving you a hard time trying to thwart your plans.
And I don't know if you can see on the back here, there's a nice illustration of the Tredaran Strike Team on the derelict ship fighting some Necronauts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, for the first time ever, you get to play as a full team of Tredarans that aren't just, they haven't left Tradera. These guys are on missions from their homeworld to try and collect up valuable resources in Darkstone and go into other worlds and sort of, loot and get the stuff they need to bring their nation victory back at Tradera.
Should we open this one?
Sure, we can open this one. Why not? Let's do it. I think people might be excited about seeing the Traderan Strike team.
Do you think anybody wants to see the inside of this?
Oh,
I know I do. All right, this is our first time seeing this, so that is pretty exciting. All right, let's see. All right.
The Traderan Strike team. All right. So you can see here it's got the full adventure book.
Smell.
Yeah. Full adventure book, and this is a pretty chunky book that has all the information about the counters that come in it, and there's some history on Tradera with some cool new artwork.
Dragonfire.
Yeah, it's got some pictures of Dragonfire teams in there. Description of the different heroes, and the new rules for it using weapons of war, environmental effects. The Piranha Chain Blade. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Story campaign, the different missions. So you can see Darkstone Raid, New Foothold, Gas Warfare, Lost Signal, Scorched Earth, Cut Off, Wetworks, and Delivering Doomsday. Now, there was something that actually, because we unlocked the Mark II Traderan Scout Tank, the Lightning, Mark II Lightning Traderan Scout Tank, this actually also, that unlocked 2 additional missions that are tank themed, where the tank isn't an enemy, it's actually on your side. So those are included in this book here. It's got Running Interference and Armor Recovery. So Running Interference is one where basically your friendly tank is moving in behind you and you have to go clear the path for them so they don't get ambushed. And Armor Recovery is where the tank has been broken down out in the field and it's being surrounded by enemies and you need to fight your way to the tank to rescue the crew. So then it's got rules for the expedition camp for the Traderans, upgrading your camp, leveling up your team heroes.
The Traderans have their own camp.
Their own full-on camp.
Amazing.
The Traderan Camp Daily Event Chart. A little bit of an FAQ here. And then, of course, unique Traderan character sheet. This will be available online as well on our website. And then a Traderan Strike Team campaign log for your campaign. And then on the back, it's got some information about the different nations of Tradera and the different paint schemes and iconography. So that is the Traderan Strike Team Adventure Book.
Here's some tokens here. These are for use. Well, these are for use with the camp. And then we've got, well, these are also camp, but these are for the Doomsday mission. These are ones that...
For allies.
Yeah, we actually provide rules in here for using all of the previous Traderan guys.
All the ones that were enemies before.
That were enemies before, now you can have as allies to your Traderan Strike Team.
Yeah.
And just in case you want to use those allies and you don't have the miniatures, we have some tokens for you.
Also for the basic allies.
Here's some other ones.
Yeah, so you've got smoke for the grenade launcher, the strike tokens for the Traderans, the tokens for the heroes and for the KO'd heroes.
And then starting tokens there.
Yeah. And then here you've got your sandbag barricades that you can build, little minefield tokens, radiation markers, starting side bag tokens. A lot of cool and crazy stuff in here.
Here's the miniatures themselves for the Traderan Strike Team with their bases.
Yeah, and so this actually has a miniature for each of the different Traderan classes, and then for the sergeant, because they don't have as heavy a gear or the helmet, there's actually a miniature for the male sergeant and a miniature for the female version of the sergeant. But the other 3 Traderans, the intent is they've got the big helmets and gas masks and so much gear that the male version and the female version both basically look the same as far as the miniature goes. So they represent both sides of the character sheet.
All right.
All right.
So this is really cool, actually.
Yeah, this is a pretty fun thing. This is basically an enemy record sheet, and there's cards in here that let you use the Traderan Strike Team as an enemy group that you can run into and fight on your adventures. And then there's also the large cards for the different hero classes of Traderan. So we've got the Traderan Legionnaire, Traderan Engineer, the Traderan Sergeant, and last but not least, the Traderan Specialist.
We also have, as we mentioned before, there's medium cards, and this is for using guys like the Z4 Grenadier or the Raider as allies instead. So they used to be enemies, but now that you're playing Tridarian Strike Team, hey, maybe you can get them as allies. And then, of course, just like all of the previous allies, there's a basic and an advanced side. And you've also got your upgrades and mutations.
Yeah, unique upgrades and mutations for each of those as well.
All right. So, here is...
Yeah, this is stuff for the Tridarian camp. So there's the map for the Tridarian camp. You can see it's got the three standard locations for the expedition camps: the campfire, expedition supplies, and field hospital. And then it's got 2 locked areas that you can unlock new locations at the camp. And then on the back side, it just has a nice piece of art of the cover of the box here for the Tridarian camp.
There's different camp locations.
Yeah, this is a full extra large card for each camp location, as well as the Dark of Night track and camp hazard chart for when you're in camp. Bad things can happen. One other thing that's kind of cool is on the back side of that one, there's Tridarian allies, and so these are unique modifiers for the different allies that you might take if you are of a particular nation. So when you're playing as the Shintaro Corps, allies that you bring along are automatically the same nation that you are, and so these are the modifiers that they get for each of the different nations for your allies. Also, you can see here on the box insert, we put the assembly guide for the miniatures right in the center of that, so it's nice and big and splashy, so you can see the pretty straightforward assembly for each of the different figures in there. So why don't we take a look at these cards here?
Oh, you want me to go through them?
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. These are some reference cards from rad grenades, toxic charges, stunned markers, strike markers, grenade launcher, different shells. These look like some starting upgrades for the different guys.
So the starting upgrades, just like the Vikings and the Conquistadors, each version of the Tridarians, so the Specialist or the Engineer, has 2 different starting upgrades you can choose from, the Legionnaire, the Sergeant. So this is all of their different starting upgrades. And then, of course, all the starting gear for these guys.
They have a lot of cool stuff that they can start with.
They do have a lot of cool stuff. If you flip those over, it might be a little easier to be able to sort different decks and stacks of them.
These are Tridarian personal items, because it makes a lot more sense for Tridarians to have personal items that are Tridarian themed.
This is one of my favorites. It's actually the Varn critter. So your personal item is basically a little pet that you have in your side satchel that gives you bonuses. He gives you +1 luck, and once per turn you may reroll a single defense roll. And then it says in parentheses at the bottom, you must name your pet. So you can't just have Varn critter. You have to name your Varn critter. All right.
I think a good name would be Vern.
Vern the Varn.
Vern the Varn.
It makes sense.
Here's different strike team factions.
Yeah, so as mentioned before, this is a deck of factions, so you can choose what faction your strike team actually comes from, and you can have everybody on the team be from the same different Tridarian nation, or you can actually have multiple nations represented within the team. However, the more nations you have, the harder it's going to be to work together as a team, so it reduces your max strike that you have for your team, the more factions you have. So it's good to have unity amongst your team, but if you want to have different people play from different nations and have like a joint operation between Tridarian factions, you can totally do that. The other thing is, that's kind of fun, is that the Tridarian team ability cards, there's a standard set that all Tridarian nations get to pull from, but then there's also a unique deck of team abilities for each of the nations as well. And so when you get team ability cards at the start of each adventure for this Team Hero Tridarians, you can actually end up getting them from the standard set and or from your specific nation that your character is from. So it's pretty cool to actually have a unique set of those cards for each different nation that you have represented on your team.
Weapons of War.
The Strike Team Weapons of War. So this is for the Specialist, and these are basically the different special weapons you can bring along on your adventure. your adventures, and you can actually choose which one you want to bring at the start of each adventure for your specialist. And one of the starting upgrades actually lets you change which weapon you have during the adventure, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. 3 of these are always available to start with: the Piranha Chainblade, Mark III grenade launcher, and DSC-4 light machine gun. The other 3 are locked until you can get enough resources together to unlock them in camp. So that's the K2 Dragon Fire Thrower, the X92 Shield Generator, and the XR5 Comm Unit.
All right. We mentioned earlier that we do also allow you to use the Trader and Strike Team as new enemies. Mm-hmm. And if you were to do that, of course, you need some threat cards to be able to bring those out.
So these are regular deck threat cards for low, medium, and high. And then there's also an Otherworld threat card for Tradera for the Strike Team. So you can actually have them show up in Tradera, of course, as well. All right, there's also new regular threat cards for adversary enemies. And this is something that's talked about in the book, where you can basically have unique adversaries that, certain enemy groups basically become your rival and kind of nemesis adversaries, and so they can show up from adventure to adventure kind of chasing you or giving you a hard time, and get that kind of rivalry going between you and your adversaries. So it's kind of a cool campaign thing where recurring enemies can come back again and again to give you grief.
Should we go ahead and put these back in?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and get this stuff packed back in here. So that is the Trader and Strike Team Kickstarter exclusive expansion. So there's an awful lot of crazy and cool stuff in there. All right.
Yeah, this is really exciting to see. As we said, this is our first time seeing this stuff in person.
For some of it, yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Right.
I don't know if you guys can see just how big this is. This is the box of miniatures, BAKS2 minis. But, I mean, this box is enormous.
Yeah. So these are all the stretch goal enemies that were unlocked for the Warlord pledge level. So
only for the Warlord.
It is a pretty massive amount of stuff here. It's got a list on the outside of the box here. Scott, you want to read through that list?
I was going to. Fenris Wolves, Swamp Stingers, Dragar, Lumia Vampires, Hellbears, Hellborn Marauders, Venom Strike Ballista, Dread Inquisitors, Shadow Lurkers, Feliagor Slayers, the Serpent King.
Who's massive.
Yeah. The Traderan Mark IIS Scout Tank.
Also massive.
The Archive Guardian and Archive Towers. Harvester Drill Team, Children of the Mountain, and the Jaguar Warrior Hero.
Yeah.
He unlocked just at the last second, if you remember, at the end of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think that it was the Children of the Mountain that came on last.
Were they the very last?
Yeah.
Jaguar Warrior, though, was also still kind of a surprise at the end. So this thing is enormous. You gonna see if do the honors there?
Yeah, get this sliced open a little bit here. All right. So let's crack it open and see all of these crazy miniatures.
Look at this. It's full. It is full. All right. What do we have here first? This
Serpent King.
The Serpent King.
Serpent King on Qatari Beast. So this model is absolutely enormous. He's basically the big kind of end boss for the Valley of the Serpent King's theme. And he's a serpent man, of course. So he is wrapped around the saddle. It's kind of a horn saddle on his riding beast here, which is kind of a giant pterodactyl. But
so this comes, it's mounted on a 90mm base. It's not in the bag, it's in the box. So we'll get to that as we dig through all this stuff.
Yeah, normally the bases are just in the box, or the bases are normally just in the bag for the different miniature sets. But because he's on the larger 90mm.
I think we have an assembled one if you want to show just what he looks like.
The assembled Serpent King, which you can see is absolutely enormous. He's an XXL enemy that can soar high above the battlefield and then swoop down to tear your heroes apart in the Valley of the Serpent Kings. Yeah, quite enormous.
And next up here, look at this is the other big bad here. We've got the Mark II's Lightning
Scout Tank.
Scout Tank for
Yeah.
Chidera.
Which again is just enormous. This is another XXL enemy that was unlocked. I think this one was unlocked at the $1 million mark for the Kickstarter, and basically is just a gigantic enemy Trideran tank that can come out and give your heroes a really hard time.
All right, we'll just keep going through.
And this one has no base. It's just on its own, sitting on the board.
Right, it would make sense.
Yep.
All right, here's the Harvester Drill Team.
Harvester Drill Team. Yep.
Those guys are actually very exciting because they have different arms that you can put on with different
Yeah.
claws and drill arms. And
You can kind of choose how you want to put them together with the drill or the claw or the kind of piston.
Yeah, anytime we're able to do that in kits, we love to give variety and different alternate parts that you can put together. Yeah. Here's the Fenris Wolves.
Fenris Wolves. These are a nasty enemy. For anybody who's played any of the preview games that we've done at Dice Fest or Roll to Move or different store events, you'll know that these Fenris Wolves can be pretty scary when they start tenaciously attacking you. Once they get a hold, it can be bad news. Hellborn Marauders are kind of a slightly more fantastical group of barbarians from the east that have dedicated themselves to the darkness. And so they've become kind of infused with power from the darkness.
When you say dedicated themselves to the darkness, it sounds like they're really diligent, like they're good students. They're working really hard, just dedicated to the darkness.
Yeah, well, they're very dedicated,
All right, those are the Hellbears.
These are the Hellbears. So the Hellbears are one that's kind of interesting because they were originally going to be a large size enemy, and then as we were developing them, the miniature was so cool, giant as an XL, that we ended up upping the scale on these guys, and so you actually get 3 XL size Hellbears. So they're on 60 millimeter bases, and they're just gigantic, terrifying creatures to encounter in the snowy forests of the Norselands.
It's basically the only creature type where you can fight a group of XLs.
Well, there's been some in the past, like the Darkstone Scorpions, where there's up to 2 of those. And
Darkstone Scorpions.
But
right.
But yeah, getting up to 3
Maybe
of those.
the Swamp Raptors, the Raptor hunting.
Yeah, potentially
party?
D3 Swamp Raptors or multiple Guardians, things like that. But these guys aren't an epic threat. They're a regular threat that can come out and give you a hard time. Here we have the Venom Strike Ballista. So you can see it's got a 60 millimeter base, and it's an artillery piece with the giant ballista and the 2 Serpent Man crew.
And all of those go on one base.
Yeah, all of this goes on one 60 millimeter base.
It's cool because it's almost like a little diorama on one base.
Yeah.
All right, look at this, the Feliagor Slayers.
Oh yeah, the Feliagor Slayers. These guys are pretty cool. They're basically suits of armor that have been animated through thunder and lightning and magic in the underworld and released to try and bring about Ragnarok and the end of days. So it's pretty cool. They've got giant axes and a big fell horn that they can blow. And they actually use rage, much like the Vikings do. They kind of use rage against you, which is pretty cool.
Usually, rage is used against the machine.
Yeah, indeed. So this right here is the Archive Guardian. And you can see here it actually is the original Guardian frame, but also has an additional Archive Guardian frame that has the new kind of head and pipes, tubes, and the different weapon arms, because he's got long-range weapons that he can fire at you. And this set actually also comes with, it's kind of hard to see in the bag there, but it comes with Archive Tower miniatures. So in the Gates of Valhalla adventure set, you get the stats for those, the enemy record sheets, and the counters, but the Archive Guardian actually comes with miniatures that you can swap out in place of those counters, so you have 3D versions of them.
All right. Oh, it's the Dragar.
Oh man, the Draugr. All right, yeah, these guys are undead Vikings. Pretty ruthless. They sap your energy away and make it harder to use grit and ability tokens when you're nearby. Harder to get back grit and ability tokens. So they're pretty deadly to fight. And then here we have the Children of the Mountain, which are one of the Spanish fort-themed enemies. So they're basically the first mummies we've introduced to the game, and they're kind of Incan-style mummies where they've been buried up in the mountains, become mummified, and of course have risen back from their mountainous graves to shamble down the mountains and attack invaders into their lands because they've been imbued by the darkness.
If you defeat these guys, you could grind them up, add water, and make some mummy juice.
You could.
Swamp stingers.
All right, swamp stingers. Yeah, these are basically giant insects that fly around and can actually grab onto your heroes and carry them around the board, which is pretty exciting.
We're still going. This
Swamp
is an
stingers.
insane amount of stuff, I have to tell you.
All right.
Oh, Lumia Vampires.
The Lumia Vampires. Right on, yeah. So these are basically a group of vampires, kind of succubi style vampires that emerge from the shadows to bite your heroes and kind of slowly start turning you into vampires as well. So they have cursed attacks where you actually have to use willpower to defend against.
Dread Inquisitors.
Dread Inquisitors. These guys are part of the Crimson Hand, the Order of the Crimson Hand. And they basically release plagues into the world to bring about their foul schemes. And so they're armed with big man catchers and daggers. And they actually have vile plague cards, kind of similar to the Anmarake from Forbidden Fortress.
Here, I found the 90mm base.
90mm base for the Serpent King.
Yeah. All right, keeping it going. Here we got a Shadow Lurkers set there.
Oh yeah, look at that, Shadow Lurkers. So these guys are demons that hide in the shadows, and they actually can appear in any of the other worlds, but there's actually extra cards for them in the derelict ship, because they've got a slight bend towards the derelict ship as a place that they like to stalk their prey.
All right, and the last one in the set there is the Jaguar Warrior Hero.
The Jaguar Warrior Hero. Yeah, this one's pretty cool because it's got a frame for the male Jaguar Warrior and a frame for the female Jaguar Warrior. And each of those has the pieces to make a Jaguar Warrior and the alternate version, which is the Eagle Warrior.
Well, each one has the pieces to make either.
Yeah, you
can't make both.
You can make either, each male and female can be either a Jaguar Warrior or an Eagle Warrior. And the Eagle Warrior is basically one of the different starting upgrades. You can choose to be an Eagle Warrior instead of a Jaguar Warrior.
Yeah, they're both really cool. If it were me, I probably would do one of them, like the male Jaguar Warrior and then a female Eagle Warrior.
Yeah.
That way I could play either one.
Yeah. But they are designed to be able to run a team of all Aztec heroes if you were so inclined. And so each of the different starting upgrades has a lot of variation and a lot of variability in how they play and how they develop as a character. So it would make perfect sense to have multiple Eagle Warriors and Jaguar Warriors on one team if you were so inclined to do that.
Yes.
All right. So, why don't we look at the printed material for these
Hang
guys?
on. First, look at this. I just want to
I mean,
look on the screen.
The camera can only show so much.
I don't know that they'll all fit. But this is, it's shocking to see this all in one place because we've just kind of worked on them as we went for these different individual pieces. And having them all in one place, it's kind of alarming just how much stuff there is. It is crazy. It's crazy. This is going to be a mammoth box of goodies.
It's
that's
true.
going to arrive on people's doorsteps. So I'm very excited about this. Do we want to put these back in here? See if they'll fit.
Yeah. I think it'll take too long. Why don't we just set it off to the side for now? We can move on to the next piece, which I think is the printed material for these guys. I already gave a kind of a quick overview of these guys, so probably won't linger too long on the individual printed material bits. Let's see what we got.
So this is the last piece from this big Warlord box. So here we go. Look at this. This is the BAKS2 box. The other one was the BAKS2 miniatures. So this is all the printed material. The other box was all of the miniatures associated with this printed material.
So this has all of the enemy record sheets and the rules and the cards for all those different miniature sets that we just looked at, all those enemy packs and the Jaguar Warrior Hero.
And more.
But, yeah, it also has a bunch of card supplements that were unlocked that were part of it. Yeah, why don't you read through the contents of the BAKS2 printed material box.
BAKS2, look at this. It's chock full. Again, we haven't seen this before, so this is my first time seeing it. All right. Target Artifacts Pack 2. That's card supplement. Raiding Gear, Norselands Gear. These are card supplements here. Jargono Artifacts Pack 2. Tools of Conquest, which is Spanish fort gear. Flames of Ragnarok, an adventure supplement. So those are card supplements. Next up, the cards to support, printed material to support the stuff we've just looked at, miniature-wise.
Yeah, the enemy sets.
Fenris Wolves, Swamp Stingers, Dragar, Lumia Vampires, Hellbears, Hellborn Marauders, Venom Strike Ballista, Dread Inquisitors, Shadow Lurkers, Feliagor Slayers, Serpent King, Tredaran Mark II Scout Tank, Archive Guardian, Harvester Drill Team, Children of the Mountain, Jaguar Warrior Hero. And then more card support here.
Card supplements.
Card supplements, I should say.
Yep.
Rivals, the Rivals set for the Old West heroes, the Rivals set for the Feudal Japan heroes, and the Rivals set for the Conquistador and Viking heroes. And then lastly, the Cities of Gold adventure supplement, another card supplement. So you want to talk about the Rivals for a second?
Sure. Why don't we do it when we crack it open here?
All right. Let's see.
So the Rivals are a pretty cool thing. They basically allow you to use your hero miniatures that you're not actively playing in the moment as enemies that can come out, and they're basically rival teams of heroes that are also out on adventures, and maybe they're a little bit more, out for themselves or a little bit more dastardly. So you can fight them as enemies, which is pretty exciting.
All right. So this is also chuck full. So as we slide these out, look at this. So we've got card bricks, and you can see we've got brick A, B, C, and D for the Warlord pledge, this is just a lot of cards. A lot of cards.
It is an awful lot of cards. So, why don't we go through these relatively rapid fire? We don't want to belabor things too much, but we have all the different enemy record sheets. So let's take a look at those. We have the Archive Guardian, the Children of the Mountain.
Here, let's go down just slightly so we're on camera.
Children of the Mountain, the Draugr, the Dread Inquisitors, Feliagor Slayers, Fenris Wolves, Harvester Drill Team, Hellbears, Hellborn Marauders, Lumia Vampires, Shadow Lurkers, Swamp Stingers, and Venom Strike Ballista. And then, of course, we have the big ones here for the XL enemies, the XXL, excuse me. We've got the Mark II's Scout Tank and the Serpent King on Qatari Beast. And then we also have the rival enemy record sheets for the Conquistadors Rivals, the Frontier Posse, the Samurai War Party, and the Viking Raiding Party, as using these heroes as enemies, rival enemies. And then, of course, we have the hero character sheet for the Jaguar Warrior, which has the male on one side and the female on the other. All right, so that's all the large cards and XL cards. Scoot these all together. That's an awful lot of material.
All right. Here is the book. So people that back previous Kickstarters will probably be familiar with this. Basically, we do a digest format, collecting together all the different rule sheets for the different enemy sets and things that come in the box. So this is the Warlord Pledge Rules Collection. And as we flip through, we've got our table of contents, which shows all the different things. Here we've got the Jaguar Warrior. Here's an assembly guide showing the different pieces, Jaguar Warrior and Eagle Warrior for the male and the female. Fenris Wolves, an assembly guide. Hellbears, an assembly guide.
So each of these has the rule sheets and usually an assembly guide as well. Some of the rule sheets have missions on them. So as you're going through, you can see like the Feliagor have a mission called Gates of the Underworld that you can play.
Here's the Archive Guardian.
But it has all the rules that would come in one of these if it were a standalone enemy pack. It's just they're put together into one collected book.
Harvester Drill Team, Lumia Vampires, Children of the Mountain, Swamp Stingers, Venom Strike Ballista. The Serpent King.
Yeah.
And the Serpent King has a lot of new stuff here, including multiple
two new missions.
Here.
Hail to the King and Jargono Unleashed.
Hail to the King, baby.
Yep.
All right, and all the assembly for the Serpent King there. And the Scout Tank has a lot of good stuff here, too. Including
two new missions,
here.
Steel Beast and Intercept, where you're trying to intercept the tank on its path. Try to stop it from getting where it's trying to go.
All the tank assembly guide stuff, and then, of course, the Rivals. All the rules for the Rivals.
Yeah.
And then we've got a little gallery of images, and here's a letter that we wrote to the backers.
Yeah. So we also have the large skill tree sheet for the Jaguar Warrior. So it's got the upgrade chart and the skill tree where you can choose your new skills as you level up. So that's in there as well. And then there's a couple, three little counter sheets in a baggie. So we can kind of pull those out. Yeah, so...
Actually, 4.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. There are 4. And these have the different counters that you would need for all those different enemy sets. You know, for the tank and the Lumia vampires, the Jaguar warrior, the swamp stingers. You know, these have ones on for the Dread Inquisitors, including a new status effect here. You can see Shaken, which is pretty nasty, but I'll leave that one as a surprise for when you get it. You can read and find out what Shaken does.
What's Shaken? All right, so each of these bricks is pretty cool. There's 4 different ones, A, B, C, and D, and on them we list specifically what is contained in that brick. But we can take a quick look here. This is card brick A.
Warlord Pledge card brick A.
So we've got some Norselands gear. Cool stuff here. Oh, the Iron Helm. So cool. And Viking pants.
Yeah, there's a lot of pants in these adventure sets. Anybody who's been wanting pants,
yeah,
now's your day to shine.
You asked for it. We delivered.
All this time you haven't had any pants, but now you have pants to wear.
And then here's Tools of Conquest. This is new Spanish fort gear. Oh man, the Siemens pistol, elegant shoulders. Oh, the Gorget greaves. And here, if that one plume wasn't enough, here's different colors.
Different plumes, yeah.
Crimson plume, indigo plume, mercenaries rapier, more trousers.
Padded trousers.
Padded trousers. All right, look at that. So,
Tools of Conquest and the raiding gear.
now this is interesting. So years ago, we came out with Targa Plateau Artifacts Pack 1. Mm-hmm. And because we put number 1, everybody's like, well, where's number 2? It's been all this time. This is number 2.
Artifact
Targa
Pack
Plateau
2 for Targa, yeah.
Artifacts 2. And so it's basically a new set of artifacts for the Targa Plateau, including here you can actually get a broken drone.
That's true.
Where you can actually find and obtain a broken Targa Seeker drone.
Those drones are giant, so carrying one around, even if it's broken.
Yeah. Also the plasma lantern as a Targa light source.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a cool new
The Rift gun, the Star Beam projector, the Time Core. There's some really cool stuff. Oh, Centurion head helmet.
Yeah.
So you can pull the head off of a Centurion that you defeat and then wear it.
As a helmet.
As a helmet. I mean, that's like, I don't think you could want anything more than that. All right. Swamps of Jargono Artifacts 2. Once again, Artifacts Pack 1 came out years ago. Here's Artifacts Pack 2 right here. Mm-hmm. With the Bari Bari juice.
Yep.
Like there you go. Temple Shield. Oh, there's some good stuff in here. The Meekdo root.
Who doesn't love a good Meekdo root?
Meekdo root. It's tasty. And the Blood Pot.
Yep.
The Axe of Tanuk. The Hex Grim Mask. These are classics. Feathered Belt. Temple Ritual Dagger. All right, let's see. All right, and then Flames of Ragnarok, which is a Norselands adventure set, which includes an adventure card here, and then a set of different. You've got artifacts, and then encounters that are all Ragnarok themed here, so that you can use this one set to modify your games and play adventures in Ragnarok, like Ragnarok style adventures. So in card brick A, we have these supplements right here. These two are more for Valley of Serpent Kings with Spanish fort gear and Jargono artifacts. These are more Gates of Valhalla, where you've got Norselands gear, Targa Plateau artifacts, and then this is also Gates of Valhalla with some Norselands adventure. I'm going to pull these to the side.
So those are all good card supplements.
That's brick A.
All right, so in brick B, we actually have a bunch of the enemy cards. So here's the the Fenris Wolves, which have some Otherworld variants like Shadow Wolves and Fire Wolves, which is pretty exciting. So there's all these cards for the different enemy sets. Probably don't need to go through all those. Got to leave some surprises for people when they actually get the sets and can break them out. Check out all the cool stuff. But you can see nomadic yetis for the Hellbears that can be in the Targa Plateau. That's pretty cool. All right. Hellborn Marauders, Venom Strike Ballista, Dread Inquisitors with their Vile Plagues. Vile Plague cards.
Looks familiar.
Yeah, those are new Vile Plagues. So if you have the Amaraka, you can actually mix them in there.
Have twice as many.
That's right.
Get some variety among
Shadow
the plagues.
Lurkers, which have cards for all the different worlds for them to stock in. Felugor Slayers, which also have a Cinder Otherworld threat as sort of the underworld, the Norse underworld. All right, so yeah, those are a bunch of the enemy cards that you need for the different enemy packs.
That is card brick B.
Card brick B.
Here is card brick C. And in this one, let's see. Actually, we'll do it this way. Here are the cards to support the Serpent King. Got some threat cards, and then he actually has his deck of legendary Serpent Kings, so you can fight a specific Serpent King. Do you want to grab one of these and read? Tell us about one particular Serpent King.
Sure, we'll look at Mumu Turan, the Rising Sun.
Mumu Turan.
It says, rising from the ruins of the shattered royal pyramid after the betrayal of Poskexi fell, Mumu Turan took up his father's spear, ignoring his grievous injuries, to mount his fallen sire's Qatari beast. Taking flight, he rallied the remnants of his scattered armies, hunting down the traitorous saboteur with a vengeance. So he is always leading the Diamond Scale tribe. So if you have the Serpentmen of Jargono Deluxe Enemy set, you can use the different tribes with your Serpentmen. And he gets some bonuses, +1 defense against range attacks. He's got battle discipline, so it changes how he uses his battle formations. But yeah, he's a legendary Serpent King.
So it's really cool because, when you're playing, it's not just some generic Serpent King. It can be like a specific one with his background, his own special abilities.
There's one unique Serpent King for each of the different Serpentmen tribes that are out there.
And then it looks like we have some specific encounters that come with him as well. Here's some darkness cards for him. And then these are his Serpent God relics. Yeah. So he could have very specific, items that can help him out, including the Jub Malik.
That's true.
Jub Malik is pretty sweet.
It's a mummified Serpentman shaman head that basically gives him, it's like a totem that he uses.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. Here's the Conti Scarab Pot, the Scepter of Zuzao.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, and then this is still all Serpent King. There's so much Serpent King
stuff.
Well,
he's a deluxe enemy pack for the XXL Serpent King.
So battle formations, there's an entire deck of battle formations. This is all Serpent King stuff there. Yep. All right, and then this is all tank stuff here. We've got different epic threats. And
rules reference cards for doing overrun attacks with the tank or how it moves.
Weapons of war.
Yeah, the weapons of war for the different tank kind of hard points on the tank for its weapons. Mm-hmm. So it's got its main gun, its side sponsons, and then its support weapons on the side of the tower.
And then you can have very specific factions for the tank.
Yeah, there's the cards for the different Tredaran nations that represent what modifiers there are to tanks from that nation. And one of the things that we do include here are the original 6 Tredaran nations, and we have a card for the Tredaran monarchy, which is forthcoming in Wave 3 for people that got the Tredaran monarchy mission pack. But of course, you can always have a tank from the monarchy with this set of cards.
All right, so all the stuff for the Serpent King, all the stuff for the Scout Tank. Now here we've got the cards to support the Archive Guardian. Here's the Harvester Drill Team.
And the Harvester Drill Team also have Otherworld threat cards for all the different worlds.
They can show up just about anywhere. All right. Next, Children of the Mountain. All right, got all those. And
including their deck of grave goods.
Oh, their grave goods. Yeah, these are really cool. Look at this. The Basket of Souls, the Crown of Feathers, Tattered Ponchos, Cursed Bracelets. They can show up with a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, and they also have a Swamps of Jargono variant for their Children of the Swamp.
All right, and now it's the stuff for the Jaguar Warrior. So we've got the Jaguar Warrior's starting upgrades there. These are the starting items. Look at that. They're so colorful.
Yep, Jaguar Armor and the Makwahuitl, the Chamali Round Shield.
Aztec Spear. Here's the Eagle Armor if you have that instead. All right, so these are starting ones. And then these are personal items. Muyal pipe, jaguar claw necklace, or feather band. So that's pretty cool. All right, this is card brick C. Oh, there's some stuck together?
Yeah, there were 2 that were stuck together. There should be 4 of those on there. All right. So that is card brick C. Go ahead and stack all these guys back up. And do card brick D. So this one is pretty straightforward. It's got all the cards for the different Rivals sets. So here's the Frontier Posse. And the Rivals are pretty crazy because it has the enemy record sheet that has the basic stats for the Old West Posse. And then it's got rival specialties for each of the different hero classes, like the U.S. Marshal, Saloon Girl, Bandito, Gunslinger. All those different ones, so you can have kind of champions amongst the enemy group that are unique to that type of hero. So it has all the rules in that rule book we were looking at earlier. But these are all the Rivals cards for the Old West Frontier Posse. Then here are all the Rivals cards for the Samurai War Party. And again, it's got the rival specialties for the Assassin, Sorceress, Kitsune, Soldier, all the different hero classes, Sumo, Daimyo, that you can have kind of as champions amongst the enemy group. And then there's the Rivals card pack that has the Conquistadors and the Vikings. So it's got all the threat cards you need, and then the rival specialties for each of those guys, like the El Capitan, Soldier, Duelist, Jarl, Huskarl, Berserker. It even has one for the Valkyrie in there, so you can have Valkyries amongst your rivals, which is pretty exciting.
You never wanted to run into rival Valkyries.
It's true. It's true. And then lastly, we have the Cities of Gold adventure supplement. So this has a new adventure card, which is having adventures in a City of Gold, which is in the Swamps of Jargono. And so you can go on adventures. It has new gear cards, new Swamps of Jargono artifacts, and then a set of new Swamps of Jargono encounters that you use when you're doing one of these adventures, a City of Gold adventure. So that is Card Brick D. Man, all right, we'll stack all that back up. And I think that brings us to the completion of the BAKS2 printed material box. So,
which also means the conclusion of the Warlord pledge box.
Yeah. So that is an awful lot of stuff packed into this pretty massive box. But we're excited to be able to share it with you guys and give you guys a first look at what comes in with this this Warlord Pledge unboxing. So thank you guys for joining us. All right.
Anyway, yeah, thanks to everybody for supporting the Kickstarter, for supporting Flying Frog. We really appreciate it. We know it took a while to actually get everything done. We did not count on a global pandemic in the middle of our development, but we rose to the occasion and we overcame, and we're super excited to get this out into the hands of people.
To get this out and shipping and to in people's hands.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're definitely as excited as you are to get this out to everybody. So thank you, everybody.
And happy gaming.